Hello, Matthew Williams here with a quick video, not a quick video, not a quick video, to say that the closing date has now been reached for objections. That was yesterday, so today is the first day that processing is taking place of the application for change of use of part of the barn connected to the Barge Inn, and also asking for a diversion of a 700-year-old byway, which also gives access to emergency service vehicles to the canal. I don't think he's going to get that. 700-year-old byway? No. Plus, I mean, it would mean that he would have to actually take a chunk of land out of somebody who lives next door to the barge, and he hasn't even asked them. Yeah, so I don't think that will be happening. And one of the people who owns the land, which is the Canal and Rivers Trust, they said, no, we don't know anything about this. You want to build on our land, do you? Yeah. Might be a good idea if you contact us, and maybe we can discuss it and talk about fees, you know, like what we're going to charge you. So yeah, Pietro doesn't seem to have thought this through very well. Now, of course, a badly executed planning application is in its own right not likely to be taken very seriously, because you can't just say, hey, I know, can I build on top of mountain house, just house, not decided size or anything, just house, mountain, build now, do, yes. Yeah, I mean, it's like fucking, yeah, it's pretty shabby. I mean, there are some rough drawings, rough drawings. Of course, they won't impress the planning people because they'll want exact information, especially considering the last person who was given planning actually royally took the piss. That's Mr. MacGyver, took the piss by not following what he was actually given planning permission for. So really begs the question, you know, what he was doing. But him aside, because he's a while back now, and, you know, we just deal with the one who's making the planning applications at the moment. He wanted a gazebo. Didn't even specify whether it was for his own personal use or whether it was for the people in the pub to use. So I suppose we'll have to guess it was for his own personal use. When you can't be specific like that, it's just going to nullify your whole application, isn't it? And in his first application and his subsequent application, he made veiled threats. And these threats took the form of saying, I from Italy, I really rich, I invest lot of money in building, and you not give me what I want, I won't invest money in building. So there. So you better give me what I want, because lots of people rely on me for jobs in the local area, and I will give jobs and money, and I pay for things in the local area because I am rich. So you give me what I want because I am rich. Well, yeah. If that doesn't sound like a veiled threat, I do not know what does. I don't think the council really give a fuck whether you're a billionaire or not. If you cannot conduct yourself in a manner that is actually conducive to the planning department's sensibilities, which might mean that you actually have a plan and your plan is clearly laid out, which he didn't have. He just said, in the future I will spend money. Really? Well, we got no guarantees you will. So, hey, you can say that to get what you want. And once you've got what you want, you just go, fuck you. And I think the planning people probably sense that no guarantees equals, do you know what? We don't need to give this guy anything, really. You know, no. Plus, also, he's trying to make us feel guilty. He's pseudo-threatening us that, you know, local people are going to lose their jobs. But hey, no local people are employed by Pietro. Well, actually, you got Pietro, his wife, his son, that's 3 Italians. You've got 2 imported chefs from Naples, Italy, that's 5, and a Romanian guy who runs the bar as the bar manager. That's 6 people who do not hold United Kingdom passports, who've taken over a local fucking pub, and apparently are telling everybody that they're a vital part of the local community because of the employing people. Really? Really? Doesn't look like it. Now see, there you go, you see. You start bullshitting with stuff like that, and people sort of like scratch a little bit beneath the surface, Pietro, and realise that it's all fucking bullshit, yeah? Once they start to realise that, then they go, do we really like this guy? Yeah, seems like a bit of a fucking fly-by-night cowboy. Maybe these people who have been objecting are actually correct, and he is a property developer, and he just wants to get that barn, so once he's got the barn, he'll close the fucking pub. Yeah, right. He also put a horse in the field without planning permission, because planning permission is required to turn a campsite commercial property, which is the field, which was also 70% of the barge's income. It was stated in documents coming from previous owners, 70% of the business. Oh, he closed that down because he wanted to have a horse in the field. So they said, well, you need planning permission. Now, apparently, Pietro is a solicitor. In Italy, he is a member of the Bar Association. And yet, when the council told him he needed legal planning permission in order to have a horse in the field, he went and built a stables and bought a horse and put the horse in the field. Now, if that doesn't strike you as a little bit cheeky, I don't know fucking what would. And I don't think the council are going to really like that, because that means then that if you didn't need to buy that horse and you didn't really need to put it in the field, you're doing it to try and force the council's hand. And they ain't going to like that, are they, Pietro? Because nobody likes having their hand forced, do they? So he has shot himself in the bollocks, shot himself in the foot, whichever euphemism you like, whatever. So in addition to all this sort of stupidness, then he started doing works on the inside of the building and told everybody, oh yes, I've got planning permission, I've got the planning permission. What he's referring to is the original planning permission from 2010, which was actually wrong in the first place. So if the original planning permission was never adhered to, and he's adding to things that weren't even in the original planning permission, he's going to get looked at very, very carefully with a scrutinizing eye, I would imagine. And a number of these things, which have all been denied by the council, the council's own officers have already written reports, and in those reports they said absolutely no way he should be allowed to put windows on the barn, because it was never intended to be used as a house. It's a gallery and space for workshops. So what's all this house building that you want to do? You know, it's kind of like, and no, you can't have extra windows and doors and building a bedroom for yourself in something that's got planning permission to be a bed and breakfast, and you're like turning it into bedrooms, and you've built a mezzanine floor and you put a staircase there where there's not even meant to be a staircase. Isn't there meant to be a disabled toilets on the ground floor of that building? No disabled toilets. In fact, just made a kitchen instead. We made a kitchen. No disabled toilets. We made a kitchen for a house. Yeah, this is all going to go down like a fucking lead balloon. Yes? I would imagine that because of the changes that have been made without permission, which he was told not to do, because of the horse, because of the, wanting to change the byway, and he's not going to get allowed to do that. He's not going to get allowed to change that barn anymore away from its original purpose, which was to be an ancillary building to the pub, which was only allowed planning permission in 2010. It was only allowed planning permission for one reason: to become a money generator for the pub because of the gallery, because of the bed and breakfast. That was the only reason it was given planning permission. It was not given planning permission for anything to do with residential living in there with you and your family and your dogs, and it was not given planning permission to be built for that. And that will be taken into consideration. So I think it's going to be really, really rocky him getting any part of that application agreed to. We got the Parish Council have written a letter, which is available on the council's website to have a look at. They just shake their heads, say, you know, that campsite was good for tourism. It was, you know, it was a part of the, you know, a well-established part of the area, and you've taken it away, you know. And it's like putting horses in the field. I mean, what's all that about? You know, it's kind of like, so, well, they didn't say that, but I mean, that's what they're going to be thinking, I would have thought. I would unlike to speak for them, but I can imagine, you know, allow me a bit of license, that they're not going to be too happy about finding out that he went and stuck the horses in the field without planning permission asked for. It wasn't even in this application to put horses in the field. He hasn't even, that application has not even gone in, and he went ahead and did that. So I got a feeling they may have some issues with this, the local parish council, and I am reliably informed by people who have looked into this that the parish council in this area usually do get listened to by the council, but then you can add to that, you've got the council's own conservation officer says, no way, this is a listed building, we don't want gazebos, we don't need extra windows for the barn, that's not why the barn was built. You know, you can't put, you know, you can't change the car park because it needs those parking spaces. Don't think the byway's a good idea. So basically rejects everything, you know, that's wanted. The highways officer rejects everything that Pietro wants. The byways, I think it's like the byways roads access officer, they said no as well. You've got the Canal and Rivers Trust, they said no. Who else was there? There was probably a few more as well, but I mean basically everybody says no, and you've got a massive amount of objectors. I don't know how the Barge Inn's amount of objections rates in terms of council planning, but there were about 50 odd, is it about 54, maybe, was it 54 objections in writing to the council directly. I believe all of them objected to the plans, so there wasn't one that agreed with it. There was one person who said, I don't see a problem with him, you know, moving the byway, but I don't, you know, or something. Yeah, no, that's right. He said, I don't have any problem with him buggering about in the barn, but I don't think he should be moving the byway. That's right. So it was partial agreement. The rest, all objections. Then, if you look at the listed building part, which you can add those objections on there in as well, then there were about an extra 15. So that's about, you're talking what, 15, 60. It's about 70 objections, is it? Let's say about approximately 70 objections. Then add to that 200 objections, which were actually signatures given to one of the people who was helping doing these, you know, this objection stuff, a community member called Sharon. She managed to get 200 signatures, and a lot of those people are locals and boaters and peoples whose names really do matter because they're known in the local area, and people who used to use the pub a lot, and they've objected too. You've even got June and Adrian Potts, who were the managers over sort of 10 years ago, managers of the pub, and had been there for a very long time. A lot of you will probably remember June and Adrian. They signed this as well. So let's add this up now. We're talking 200 plus 70 is 270 objections to them doing anything to the pub at all that they've asked for, because we know what they're up to. And I got a funny feeling, Mr. Pietro, if you're watching this, I got a funny feeling you ain't gonna get what you want. I'm so sorry, Mr. Pietro. Maybe you should think when you tell everyone that you're going to whitewash over the room, the crop circles room, and maybe you should think when you put horses in the campsite field, which everybody told you was a really bad idea. Yeah, you wanna be part of the community and you want to take part in the community, then you have to know what the community is used to and what the community wants. And if you go taking the piss out of the community by having people up against the wall by their fucking throats, yeah, which is what you've done, shouting in people's faces and basically telling them, I'm the fucking daddy, or words to that effect, and I'll fucking kill you, and words to that effect. Well, no, actually, not words to that effect. I think it was, I am going to fucking kill you, I think he's told some people, whilst pushing him and fucking argy-bargy. Yeah, then there's all the sacked staff and the staff who walked out because they said you were a fascist. I mean, you haven't got a very good reputation for yourself in terms of credibility. And, you know, yeah, I've been against this guy since day one because I could smell a rat. And I took a lot of shit for this, right? I mean, it's only recently, in the last couple of months, that a lot of people have said, well, do you know what? We're starting to see a pattern here with this Pietro and Barbara, and it doesn't seem like this leopard is going to change his spots. In fact, it looks more and more like, yeah, they're trying to fuck this place right up, yeah, on purpose. The Italian restaurant that nobody wants, yeah, with 2 top chefs from Naples, yes, imported chefs, and they can only get a 4 out of 5 rating, you know. Well, one of the scores was 3 for food hygiene. Yeah, top chefs from Italy. I have brought in top chefs from Italy, and you can only get a 4 out of 5 score. Wow, if that's the best you can do, when you're importing top chefs from Italy, that to me says you ain't doing it right. So just add everything together. It ain't a fucking pretty scene. But light at the end of the tunnel. Light at the end of the tunnel. Right. Hello, Bubbas. And my baby by here, look. Hello, Bubbas. Just say hello. And then give paw. Oh, give paw. Give paw if you hate Pietro. Give paw if you hate Pietro. There you go, you see? She fucking hates Pietro. Yeah? And that's a real dog. Not like those fucking noisy mutts you've now put out in the backfield that go woof 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 all day long. Apparently, Pietro, you know, just so many popular decisions, so many really popular decisions. Yeah. Well, he's had a taste of what the crop circle world gave him in the summer. The crop circle exhibition with Monique Klinkenberg was a very big success and brought lots and lots of people to the crop circle exhibition. Not so many in the pub because I don't think they liked Pietro very much. I'm not saying that, you know, that's me saying that. That's not the crop circle exhibition saying that. That's me saying that, yes. But I don't think that many people went in the pub, many people ate in the pub. Of those I do know went in the pub, I do know many people complained about the food. I know that there's been a lot of TripAdvisor traffic for the Barge Inn. If you want to go and have an absolute hysterical laugh, go and have a look at TripAdvisor or Google and have a look at the reviews from real members of the public that said, yeah, this guy shouted at me and wouldn't, you know, served me cold food, cold in the middle, you know, still frozen, you know, and doesn't know how to reheat food or cook food, and, you know, moldy food being served and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, go and read some of those. It's quite illuminating. It really is. And yeah, so I've taken it in the neck for a while, but thankfully I think quite a few people have seen the light and, you know, came on board in the end, and I really thank everyone who signed that, everyone who signed it and put their sort of name on the dotted line and said, yeah, we're not happy with this. It's not really where the barge came from, and it maybe isn't where the barge wants to go, and the fact that these people have come from Italy and they've deciding to smash the barge into their way that they want it. Square pegs, round holes. These things sometimes don't go. So what's going to happen now? Well, Pietro might object, he might appeal, he might put in more planning applications, which will probably be refused again, because I don't think the council are really going to go for it. But you're welcome to try, Pietro. I mean, some people have been suggesting perhaps he will go back to Italy, and I think a lot of people would be a lot happier if there were different people running that pub, not as an Italian restaurant. But I think at the very least, if this guy had even a modicum of sense, which for a trained solicitor, who's apparently some big shot solicitor in Italy, if this guy actually had this much common sense, he would get rid of the horse, open the campsite, dump the Italian menu, or at the very least serve proper British English pub food. Because guess what, Pietro? It's a pub. It's a pub. And when people come in a pub, they expect to have pub food, not Italian food rammed down their throats, whether they like it or not. I mean, if you want to put Italian food on the menu, fine, as long as there's a proper and wide enough normal menu. But there we go. Hey, what do I know? What the fuck do I know? But I think realistically, I think a lot of people would be happier if Pietro maybe wasn't around serving at the bar, shouting at people. I don't know what we would do about that. That's a hard problem to deal with, I suppose, than the other things. Those other things would be easy to deal with, but I'm not so sure about the gentleman himself. So anyway, if you have been watching, thank you very much, and watch this space. The 13th of December is the target date for a decision. We all think we may well get a decision way ahead of that, because it's kind of black and white. It's kind of pretty much black and white. What could be allowed and what probably isn't going to be allowed. So I would imagine we may have a decision sooner than that. And it's going to be interesting, because is he going to get forced by the council to revert these things he's changed back? Is he going to get told, get your horse out of the field? Is all that going to start happening? And is he going to dig his heels in and refuse to take the horse out of the field and refuse to turn the bits that he's changed in the barn back to the way that they were on the original planning? Ooh, that's going to get interesting, isn't it? Oh yes. And could have all been avoided if he just got the planning first before attempting to do works. So it's his own fault, and as everybody said, he was told enough times by the planning department. He even had enforcement officers come round and discuss it with him, and he still went ahead and did it. And he's supposed to be a solicitor. So I don't think that ignorance of the law is really going to wash this time, is it? I don't think they're going to believe that he's an innocent person who just didn't know what he was doing. I think they're going to think he's a fucking royal piss taker. A royal piss taker who seems to have fucking sailed into British shores and is really thinking like the fucking daddy has arrived in town. And the daddy hasn't arrived in town. The daddy has arrived on the end of my fucking finger. So, thank you very much.